The purpose of this webinar is to help you get the best out of marketing through social media platforms. And we will also be covering the importance of EDI, that's equality, diversity, and inclusion. That's going to be covered by my colleague Fifi on screen right now. And then if I just go to the next slide, these are the 6 social medias we're looking into. So I will be covering the first 3, and then my colleague Sam and another colleague Effie will be joining later on to present the other 3. So just before we get into it, just a quick, what is social media marketing? It's a digital form of marketing using popular social media networks. So what it requires is evolving strategies that is structured and consistent content of good quality. So some of the things that this might include is maintaining your profile, representing your brand and engaging with your audience and monitoring your reputation. So just to really quickly, because we do want to delve into the social medias in a bit more of a deeper look, I just wanted to really quickly give the benefits of why social media marketing is important. So the first thing is that it humanizes your business. So your business turns into an active participant on the social media platforms. Your profile, your posts, your interactions with people forms an approachable persona. And if your audience can connect and familiarize with your online presence, then they'll start to trust you. And it also is useful in driving traffic to your websites and things like that. So putting links in your posts and in your bios and things like that increases the traffic to your website. And using things like DMs and call to action buttons can generate customers, which converts leads directly to customers onto your platforms. It also useful in increasing brand awareness. So you're building your visual identity across wider audiences that you may not necessarily reach otherwise. And it also helps building relationships. So it does open direct and indirect lines of communications, and you can network, get feedback, and hold discussions. And best of all, it's free. So for those of you who may not have a high marketing budget, it's definitely a free alternative or something you can learn and pick up on in order to promote yourself through social media. So the first social media I want to get into is Instagram. But before I do, I just want to say that each platform does have its own environment and audience. So I would recommend choosing to learn the intricacies of a few first before you try and go on and do all of them. Especially if you don't really get the hang of it straight away, it's better to learn about the ins and outs of one and then try and translate it into others later, which I will also go into um, in a later slide. So the main audience of Instagram is 16 to 35 years old. So that's your teens and your young adults. And the main thing that you do on social media is to create posts, and this can be pictures or videos. And in these pictures and videos, they should tend to be your best quality pictures and videos, because that's what people see when they first go on your page. And they should follow the 70-20-10 rule. So it should be 70% informational, 20% emotional, and 10% promotional. So what 70% informational is, it could be educational, advice, how-tos, important updates, or industry news and insights. The emotional factor can come from your company cultures and your core values, any milestones you may have reached, any fun and inspirational events that your company is taking part of. And the 10% promotional is where you directly promote your services, and that includes call to action buttons saying things like the links in the bio, please go click on it, or find more information through this link. That would be promoting yourself. But the main point of all the posts and the videos is that they must add value to the person seeing it. So usually this means that useful and more interesting content is the most organic way to promote your business. And this is especially important where other people might want to repost you, so that furthers your reach that you get on the platform. And it's very important to use a good caption. So it can be between something humorous, something meaningful, or something that just creates intrigue with the people watching your content. And the content itself should be diverse and not, I mean, it should be diverse in the terms of what Fifi will cover later. But what I mean is the actual post should differ. It shouldn't be the same thing again and again. So the difference between updates and how-tos and quick tips and news, there should be a variety of different types of content on your page. And one very, very important thing is that you need to consistently post on these platforms. It's the biggest indicator of who is paying attention to you, who is engaging. And another very important thing is to engage back. So reply to comments, like, share, repost, those kind of things. So I'm going to move on to Reels. I won't talk about it much, although I will say it's one of the most important factors of Instagram. The reason why I won't talk about it much is I'm going to cover how to do a good Reel in my TikTok slide, because that is all the tips that I'll give you there is directly applicable to Instagram too. But why Reels are really important to Instagram is that Instagram has announced that it's shifting its focus from full screen, um, from your usual post, to full screen entertaining mobile first videos. What that really means is that TikTok came into the picture and knocked it out of its ballpark. So it really needs to compete with TikTok in terms of what TikTok is providing. So they really, really, really are heavily pushing on for favoring Reels and Reel content, because they want you to be on their platform and not TikTok. So what Reels are is they're just videos that have a heavy focus on the entertainment factor of things. So again, I'll go into how to make intriguing Reels in the TikTok slide, because it's the same kind of stuff. But another thing that I did want to mention about Reels is that they are heavily linked to Facebook. So because Facebook and Instagram are all under Meta, any reel you post on Instagram directly gets uploaded onto Facebook as well. So your reach is doubled instantly, just by that one little detail, and you get a lot of views from Facebook, and you can track that straight through your Instagram as well. And I will go into using trending sounds and hooks again later in the TikTok slide. So another useful feature to Instagram is your stories. Now, this is your more short-lived content that stays up for only 24 hours. So this is best suited for your more raw and more spontaneous content. So that could be your behind the scenes and your tours of maybe some of the things that you're doing in events or things like that. And the thing with stories is it has several tools, which can enable you to engage with people and make your images and videos stand out. So you can have text that's overlaid in images in bold, inviting fonts. You can have accessories. This could be engaging stickers that sort of move around that you wouldn't really post on your main feed. You just do it in the space of the where it's temporary for people to see just for a few hours, and then it goes. And through this, you can also link directly to websites. So where you'll have a website in your main bio, you might have different links you want to direct them to. And it might be links that are temporary or things that you don't really need them to see for long. So this is the great place to do that, because people will see it instantly and try and click on that. And also in terms of engaging with the people on the platform, you can do straight through your stories. You can do polls, you can do countdowns, you can at people, you can at your location, and that gives you a reach to the people in that location. And you can host quizzes and Q&As straight through your stories. Now, the best thing about stories is, yes, they're temporary, but you can turn them permanent by making them into highlights. What highlights is if you can see in my example of South Norfolk and Broadland, it's just those 5 circles on the screen. In the middle, just under the follow button. So this is where you can turn your stories into permanent sort of features on your profile without having them to go onto your main feed. And what I would recommend, you can have as many of these circles as you want, but people don't like scrolling that much and don't like to be heavily sort of overwhelmed with content. So it would be best, as you can see, to split your sort of content genres into the top 5 things that you want to show, and try and add within those top 5s, rather than having so many circles going on and on. And as you can see with this example, it's very aesthetically pleasing. They've chosen to do the same colors with slight variation in the logo. So it just makes it more clickable for the person who comes and visits your profile. And then another feature of stories, or in the stories section, I would say, is to go live, which can seem daunting because you're streaming and recording basically in real time. But one of the benefits of doing this is that it gives you the #1 position for your followers in their story feed. So you're going to be the first thing they see when they enter, which makes you more clickable to them, because Instagram really promotes you if you go live. And it also auto alerts your followers by sending them push notifications. So they will get that notification to say that you've gone live straight onto their phone, and they're probably more likely to click it in that sense. And that gives you the opportunity to engage with your attendees directly. So you can do an impromptu Q&A, you can just reply to comments as they sort of come on screen, and it's a bit more raw, and it's a bit more relatable, like there's a person on the other end of the screen. And another good thing that you can do is promote your live sessions beforehand to make sure that no one misses it. So this can be through your regular stories or even posts on your feed. So another thing I wanted to mention is the links in your bio. So a lot of businesses actually don't put even a single link in their bio, and I think this is an incredibly missed opportunity. I think basically you should be putting at least your website in your bio. If not, there's this great tool. It's an app called Linktree, and that in the app, you can see on the right here, you can put several links to your different various social websites, and your any sort of links that you would have, not even just websites or social media, all in one place. So it's a very good app that makes use of the idea that you can only put one link in your website. But it's very important that you link something, because I know for myself and a lot of other people, using Google search engine isn't always what we do. We sort of go on Instagram, find a page, and find websites through that. So it's really important to make sure that you actually do have a link in your bio. And if you can, please explore the Linktree app. That will give you lots of opportunity to add your several different links that you might want to do, and it just gives you a great way to cross promote all your different social medias, including if you put it in your email signatures, you'll have it there. If it basically ties in all the different social medias together. So another thing I did want to mention, even though I did say social media is free, and yes, it is, it's still very useful to mention paid ads if you do have the budget to do so. And why this might be important is when you're finding it difficult to organically break through what's considered the popular content. And this is definitely a problem for some of the smaller accounts. They may not get the reach that they want to. So if you do have the budget, paid ads can be utilized to grow your brand exposure, and it just pushes your content in front of a wider audience. So with paid ads, they can be relatively low cost compared to paying a marketing team, and it's based on various different factors. So you can actually control the budget yourself. You can control how long an ad runs for. So if you only wanted to put £50 towards it, you can say to Instagram, my budget is £50, run my ad until the £50 runs out. And you can also choose the time which you want the ad to run, which comes very important to my analytics point in a second. So the most powerful ads will use images, different ranges of images or videos, and they will be accompanied by text in the captions, and usually a call to action at the bottom of the text. So that's go to the link in the bio, press this, or inquire through DM, something like that. And it's very important that these things are posted at the right time. Now, where can we find the right time for these things to post it? And that is where analytics comes in very useful. So Instagram has an inbuilt analytics tracker. It's called Insights, and it's for business accounts only. So really important to make sure that your account is listed as a business account and not a personal account, because it's not a feature available for personal accounts. And what this reports on is the times that your followers are most active. So that means you can target your posts at that time. And actually, another useful feature to Instagram is that you can schedule content. So if your followers are most active at 9 p.m. and you're out of work, you can schedule everything to be ready to go off at that time. You can have your text ready, you can have your pictures ready, any tags that you want to do, things like that. What it also reports on is your demographic of followers, so the different ages and genders. So what that means is you get a good idea of who your audience are and target your content towards them. And it also reports on your impressions, links, and followers that a post led to, and that's all important into deciding which type of content that you'll post in the future. Usually the ones that are the most engaging, you should try and repeat that to some level. And another very just quick thing, if you are struggling to find what the content does well, there's no harm in looking at other content that does well of the bigger sort of companies or followers, and just try and replicate that in some way, because they must be doing something right if it's leading to a lot of engagement. So that's everything on the Instagram slides. I'm going to move on to TikTok now. Um, so with TikTok, the main audience, which may seem like teens, actually has one of the most diverse audience in terms of age, and the number of adult users grew by 5.5 times in the last 2 years, and this has surpassed Instagram in terms of youth engagement. Um, so it is actually deemed one of the fastest growing social media platforms of all time. So it's very important that you can use TikTok to boost your engagement there, because you'd be missing out on a whole load of people. So the one thing about TikTok is its algorithm. Its algorithm is very, very good at personalizing users' feeds. So based on their niche and interest, the first things users do see is their For You page. And this is a page consisting of curated content just for them based on their previous interactions, how long they stayed on a video for, how fast they skip a video, things like that all feeds into what they will see in their For You page the next time they come on, the next time they come on. Um, so why that works in everyone's favors, it means that your videos will actually reach the people who want to see that type of content immediately, without you having to, put too much effort into it, because Instagram has already built into people's algorithms what they like, and you should come up on that if that's what they're interested in. And what I really like about TikTok is that it gives every content creator a fair chance. So it's not just for the popular accounts. It really does give everyone the chance to stand out. And this is incredibly important for your first and early videos, because TikTok doesn't really understand what type of content you're trying to put out there. It kind of just boosts your reach to a lot of people to see who's kind of clinging onto you and who's not. So what that means is a lot of people's first videos do tend to go, I say viral loosely. So if you see this example of Leeds City Council, the one on the left, this is one of their early videos. I believe it's the second video, and that got 10.6K views. And I do think a lot of that is down to it being one of the first videos, but it is also to do with some of the things I'll mention in my next point, to do with headlines and hooks. Um, so yeah, having said that, what is TikTok's videos about? So TikTok is primarily used for entertainment. So your videos need to align with this. So where your videos might be event invites or explainer videos or how-tos, or even case studies and thank you videos. How to make it entertaining is by participating in maybe trending challenges, using humor, not taking yourself too seriously on the platform, and posting relatable content is very key to TikTok. And one of the ways you can easily do that is just by posting your employees, posting your customers, giving that relatability factor to them, that there is someone else at the other end of the screen. So TikTok does recommend posting shorter videos, even though they do let you post up to 10 minutes. It does favor the short videos, because unfortunately a lot of people have a short attention span now, so they do prefer you to keep it between 15 seconds and 1 minute. It's just the video type that performs the best on this platform. So how can you make the more engaging and personalized videos? What you need to be doing is posting scroll stopping content. Now that's something within the first 5 seconds that draws people in and prevents them from skipping your content. And how this tends to happen is by using headlines and hooks. And these are the kind of things that are like bold claims, questions, surprising facts, or can be something emotional that draws people in. So an example could be 3 things I wish I knew sooner about. That makes people want to stay and hear what the 3 things are. And that may translate into skipping better, more descriptive words for more powerful hook words like until now or might change your mind. Something like that will draw them in. And that's why I have this example on the right here. This is another example from Leeds, but it's a much later video. As you can see, it has almost the same amount of views. In fact, if you look at the like ratio for something that has the same amount of views, it's a much higher like to view ratio. And what they have done here is they've used a hook in their as the first thing that people see when you first go into the content. So the Ghostbusters have a new recruit, and even in their first video, they have, if you love to shop, then Lead City is for you. So again, it's inviting them in, it's drawing them into your video and making them stay on your video. That's what gives you the views, and that's what TikTok will promote. If people stay on your videos for longer, it thinks that you people are liking that content, so it further promotes that content for you naturally by itself. So another useful thing to mention on TikTok and indeed Instagram Reels is trending sounds. So this is just a sound that's very popular at the moment. One thing you can even do is you can use the sound but put it on mute and have your voiceovers over it, just to get that reach, because TikTok really favors any popular sounds that you that may be trending right now, and it wants you to use them. And if you do use them, especially if you use them early before they become overdone, it does give you that boosted reach. And again, it goes back to Instagram doing the same thing with sounds. The one thing I did want to say about Instagram, though, which is even more useful than TikTok, I believe, is with their trending sound section. If you can see the square at the bottom here, they actually do this little arrow. If you can see under the happy birthday, there's a little arrow there, and that actually identifies straight away what the trending sound is on Instagram at that time. Again, Instagram is extremely competitive with TikTok, so just doing that is really helpful to just your average user who wants to use a trending sound but doesn't want to scroll through lots and lots of videos to figure out which video sound is the most popular. Another thing to do in your videos that can be really just a really quick win for you is to go into the search bar and search your niche. So you can just search what you want that is related to your video, and it will give a list of what other people are searching for in that space, and any keywords that you can identify from those searches, use them in your video, put them in your hashtags, put them in your caption, put them in the text overlay of your videos, because that's what people are searching for. So your video is more likely to come up on their pages if that's what you're putting on your videos. And hashtags are still very important to the TikTok platform because, like I said, users use it to search for their content. And then a very quick point on paid ads. Again, very similar to Instagram. You can run an ad campaign and it sets out your budget and audience goals, the same as Instagram, and it has call to action buttons. So if you can see this square where it says download at the bottom here, that pops up on people's screen as they're watching the ads, and it's one of the more natural ways of seeing your ad on TikTok, I believe, because you're already scrolling through content and you're allowed to skip it, but if you have this call to action button and you've got all the hooks and headlines that are intriguing people, they're more likely to click onto that button and drive that traffic straight to your website or wherever you may need it to be. And on the right here, I've just given a few hooks and headline examples that you can use, but obviously make sure it's tailored to your content, however you would like to do it. So my final point is on Twitter. So Twitter's main audience ranges from 25 to 35-year-olds and 35 to 49-year-olds, and is generally considered to be the more educated or more wealthy kind of audience. However, it is one of the most diverse environments, and that's in terms of cultures, ethnicities, genders, even political positions. And Twitter continues to be in the top 5 social medias to use. So it's still a very, very valid social media to promote all your content onto. So what Twitter is a place for quick thoughts and energized discussions. So what Twitter has increasingly become, oh, I should mention it's now called X, just as a sort of sidebar. What it has increasingly become is a place where people use it to get news and follow their brands and also get customer service. So on that customer services point, you need to be making sure that you're answering people's questions, maybe posting facts, maybe retweet when customers engage with you. That all feeds into it. And one of the very useful things, as you can see in this example with Manchester City Council on the right here, you can share a story or even a podcast through a series of tweets, and it turns into a thread. So this line down the side, it links all the tweets into one thread, and that just makes it easy for users to follow, especially even though as well with Twitter it has increased how much you can write in a tweet. People still don't like to read long paragraphs of anything, so breaking it down into that thread function is very useful for users to sort of follow. And the content that you should be promoting on Twitter should make people laugh or should be personal, but it's also very important to be culturally inclusive, and that's just based on what Twitter's main audience is. They really resonate with that kind of stuff, so it's especially more important on this platform as it is everywhere else. So the tweets with videos tend to get 10 times more engagement, and tweets with pictures are proven to be the most popular form of tweets on Twitter right now. So tweets with pictures actually sees 18% more clicks, 89% more favorites, and 150% more retweets. And this is especially important if you're sharing links within your tweets, because a picture makes it seem more clickable in the eyes of the users. And it's important when you do use a link, it should be a short link. So if you see my example again with Manchester City on the left here, their link is very short, it's not long. It makes people want to click it if they're interested in it, and doesn't really take them away from what the content is. And why tweets with images are incredibly important is because it tends to stay on the top of a hashtag search result. So if someone is searching through a hashtag and you have an image, your picture is at the top of it, so that means more impressions for you, more reach for you. And what Twitter has done recently is it's basically copied TikTok in the sense of its format of having a For You page and a following page. So that means that it's no longer just people who follow you that see your stuff. Your stuff can get promoted to a lot of different people. So that basically just gives you a better chance of reach. So what you want to do is make sure you do those colorful images and short links, and use hashtags, no more than 3, just to get your content onto those For You pages rather than people's following pages. And it's incredibly important that you mix some of your outreach tweets. So your outreach tweets are your tweets where you're calling people to do an action, so clicking a link or doing something. It's important to mix that with some organic tweets here and there, just to make it again diverse content, make it flow on your page, and makes people think that there's more to it than just you trying to promote one thing and one agenda. And a few other useful features, which I won't go into, is the paid ads. Are very similar to the other two. You can, promote your content that way. You can have voice tweets, and there's Twitter Spaces, which is live audio discussions, which are basically the equivalent of Instagram Live. The one thing, and I have it written down here, is repurpose, repost, and recycle. So what repurpose is, if you create an Instagram post, if you create a Facebook post, for example, something like a customer review, what you can do is you can slice that up and it becomes a series of tweets. Reposting is very useful when you have gaps in your content calendar. So you can repost or retweet content from other sources, or just content that you've posted previously. It's pretty good way to fill the gaps into anything that you might not have scheduled. And recycle, so your TikTok videos can become your Instagram reels. And another thing I didn't mention, but all of this can also go straight onto YouTube. YouTube Shorts is a new thing that's come out as well, again directly competing with TikTok. So that can just straight be posted on your YouTube Shorts as well. And your Instagram live recordings can be posted on Facebook, can be posted on TikTok. So it's really about not making too much content, but when you do make the content, remember which platform you're using and the little intricacies of each platform and what that means for that platform, and the different little tips that I've given you in what works best for that platform. So yeah, that's it for me. I'm going to pass over to Sam to present the Facebook slide for you.
Hi everyone. I know it's a lot to take in. Facebook actually has 66 of the UK population as users. As Tamima said earlier, it's also linked to Instagram, and you can utilize that platform as well. It's quite easy to share content. Immediately you can put it in your settings on Instagram, and that can just immediately go over without you having to do anything else, which is good. Users of 65 and older are the largest growing demographic on Facebook because it is one of the older platforms. It has more older users on it as well, as they started to get to grips with this. One important thing to note with all of this social media, although we do tend to think it is for the younger generation, is a lot of the time friends, relatives, co-workers will share information, particularly to those who are a bit older and are not on the platform. For Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, the little arrow that you can usually see at the bottom, in this case it's a little triangle for a paper airplane, will share it, and usually via messages as well. So even if they're not on WhatsApp or Messenger, you can usually share a link in a text as well, so that anybody who's not even on the platform can see it also. So I'll go through a little bit, although a lot of it does cross over with Instagram. So one useful thing to take into account is Facebook groups. My dad actually told me recently that he is part of an energy efficiency group on Facebook. He keeps trying to send me the posts. So you can find those either regionally. So as you can see there, I've put Islington has a community group. So you can find those in your area. And you can kind of see what they're talking about and put in posts there. Anyone can join that. Or you can create your own to try and get your kind of own posts out there and link to other social media. You can talk directly to your users, either through posts or messages. Often you will see that questions more likely are posted on Facebook than any other platform. It has a big Q&A function by the fact that most of the posts are text from people, and if you put it as a public group, anybody can put a post on there, and often a lot of people are commenting on there rather than liking or anything else to try and help and give advice. So that's useful. The other thing you can do is track common themes and barriers. You'll see what your users are most worried about. In this case, you can see a lot of it is to do with solar. I've just taken kind of a screenshot there of some of the key themes. You can, see if they're having any particular issues in your area, so you know what's coming up before it kind of hits you in terms of delivery. And just with Instagram, eye-catching photos, links, and a bit of a call to action is always helpful. And you can completely, as Samina said, utilize the exact same stuff so that you have a really good join up between your platforms, but also you don't have to keep looking for new content. One important thing to mention is obviously GDPR. Although we know case studies and putting in, somebody down the street has had solar panels and this is how it has helped them, you've got to ensure that there is consent to be used not only on websites but on social media, and that they're happy with this. It's always good to do as you're going through delivery rather than afterwards, because afterwards they might have forgotten about it or might be less engaged. So always good to get that consent form partway through. So that's always very useful, but also consider where you can do things that don't involve having to put somebody's face on and put a case study in to keep your content going. So for instance, you might want to put a quiz on Facebook, in terms of what types of other things can be helpful in keeping your home warm. What's the most energy efficient measure, for example, for your house? You can put something in like that. You can also put in things like recipes that are the most energy efficient, what uses the least energy, and try to think a little bit outside of the box. You can take videos or pictures of measures and how they work, like heat pumps, and you can look at engaging with the businesses who are delivering on behalf of schemes, as they also often have social media, so you can either repost their stuff or share kind of some pictures of them once you've got their consent, and they're often very engaged with this because they're delivering the scheme, because they're a business. So there are a few ways there that they can get involved. As Tamima said earlier, because Facebook is on Meta, it's very easy to link up to Instagram and a couple of the other sites as well. So that's always a really helpful way to make sure everything's really joined up. So I think that's everything from me. I don't know if there's any questions, but I will have a look in the chat as well. In terms of social media policies, it's worth having an account for your local authority rather than a personal one. This just protects you and everybody else. And following the privacy statements and everything else, and GDPR should keep you all protected and stop you having your name and personal details anywhere.
Great. So I would just like to talk a little bit about LinkedIn. I've put in the kind of key things that you need to have when you're posting on LinkedIn, but I'd like to talk about why would you post on LinkedIn, okay? When I post a lot on LinkedIn, I write about my experiences in my workplace. I write about the projects that I feel passionately about. I write and signpost about other projects that I feel passionately about. And I share the experiences of different housing associations because I work in social housing retrofit and, you know, councils who take retrofit money from HUG and Sustainable Warmth and LAD. I find these projects are really interesting. And in this format, I can find about what people feel about the work, what they feel about how the work was done. And I find in LinkedIn, it's much easier to find that context than in, let's say, Facebook or websites or marketing materials. So marketing materials from a council, for example, who've just done a project and they send it out to their local constituents, but they don't send it out to me working in the government. So I go to LinkedIn and I have a look and I find out that Ben Williams from Waits has just finished a bunch of projects in Cornwall. And I reach out to Ben and I say, God, that's really interesting. We should have a meeting. We should talk about it. I'm interested in finding case studies. So sometimes I find new network connections from LinkedIn just simply because I'm inspired by the thing that they've posted, or they are inspired by the thing I've posted. Some of the things that I post are a bit more personal. Let's say I'm dyslexic, so I signpost to lots of dyslexic posts. Some of the things that I post are just about my work, right? So it depends, but you have to make your LinkedIn profile very energetic and dynamic and diverse so that people are reading what you are serving up, regardless of whether they work for government or not, whether they're into retrofit or not. Okay, so the one thing that I would like to add is there's nothing quite like being at a conference or an event and somebody's there and you see their badge and you recognize their name because they're a friend of yours on LinkedIn. And that connection is made automatically. You automatically suddenly have a conversation with somebody from E.ON, whereas before you never would have talked to them, but they say, oh, actually, I know Effie, I follow her on LinkedIn. So next time you do a really interesting project and something that you feel proud of, or you go on an interesting visit, or you have an interesting case study, why not pop it up on LinkedIn instead and say, hey, business community, this is something that I feel passionately about, and you can come and talk to me and tell me about what you feel passionately about. It's a very instantaneous way to make friends in the business community, and friends leads to more interesting projects and collaborations. So I highly recommend it. Step out of your comfort zone, go on LinkedIn for a few hours and just have a look at what people are posting and what they're looking at. I've given you a couple of examples here. I've told you a couple of like basic little tips on how to create that LinkedIn profile. I say just go for it. You'll make new friends, and who knows, maybe you'll be offered like an amazing glamorous job at the same time. Okay, so it's me again. And this is because before I worked in the government, I actually was a communications lead for a small community centre, charity, non-profit organisation. And as such, I also had to use WordPress, and I also had to update the website. I learned a lot about website management overnight with very little help and just a few YouTubes. So one of the things, I've given you the example of Manchester Council here. As you can see, very graphic, very bold, very eye-catching, right to the point. You will get these slides from Samima, and you can tap on all these little drops and see examples of very different councils that have successfully created websites that are very user-friendly, that are like one click. You know, you can go onto these websites, you can immediately find whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's garbage collection, whether it's help with housing, whether it's retrofit, whether it's benefits. The thing about a website is it's got to be engaging, bold, repetitive in its branding, but also very, very user-friendly. And I know from creating websites on a budget that every little aspect of a website costs money. So just remember, get your branding right, put that on every page, and make sure that the websites don't have that kind of, you know, doctor's office from the 1980s sort of feel. Like, let's not go to a website where it's one big light green page with one arrow at the bottom that says click here for more information. Let's put in a photo. You don't need a plugin to upload a photo. It's very basic on WordPress. All of these websites that I have included, they're not particularly complicated. They're not particularly fancy, but they use color. They're bold. They have very clear buttons that you don't need to wear glasses to see. Do you know? So I can, if you don't mind, I've pressed on it. Can anybody see what I've pressed on? I don't know if that works. If you guys, no, sorry. So that doesn't work, but you can do that afterwards. You can press on something like Newcastle and you can see a much simpler design than, let's say, Manchester. I like Manchester, that's my style, but Newcastle has chosen a white background, but it still works. They've included bold colors, they've included pictures. If you can't use pictures, then use animation. You know, go on to Unsplash, take down some legal photographs, jazz up your website, make it user friendly, because the worst thing in the world is to go onto a council website and find out that there's a page there that says jumble sale, February 2022, right? That's the worst thing, because then you think, I can't use this website. It's out of date. Nobody cares about it. Nobody is updating it. Even if you just update the page with the basic information once a month, you're doing your constituents a favor, because they know they can rely on the phone numbers, they can rely on the links. If something doesn't work, give a link so that people can report it. Sometimes links don't work. It's not perfect. Every council will have a different budget and a different system. Just remember, from a comms perspective, bold, colorful, and really user friendly. That's it for me. Thank you, Samima.
Thank you, Effie. And actually, on your point, I did want to say, when you do have social medias that have links in them, it's very important that when they click on that link, that your website pops up in mobile first format. So one thing I hate, and I know a lot of people hate, is if you click on a link and you have to like scroll all the way to the right to try and find what you actually need to click on after that point. So just a quick tip to like try and be the user yourself, go on the website and see, are they seeing your content straight away, or is it a bit of a faff, and try and get that sorted out basically. So yeah, we'll move on to Fifi on her EDI slides.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Fifi and I'm the Stakeholder Engagement Manager for the Home Upgrade Grant. And to make my session a little bit interactive, I'm going to launch a poll right now, just so you can throw out some suggestions as to what EDI means to you and your organisation. You have a few tips on the board now, so I'll just go through them. So equality means equal rights and equal opportunities and just outcomes for all. Diversity means including and involving people from diverse backgrounds. And inclusion means making everyone feel welcome. and valued. So the benefits of EDI in the workplace can enhance your productivity, innovation, collaboration, and increase your value proposition and financial returns. Put simply, the greater the variety of minds in your organization and the greater the representation, the more supported people feel, the greater the mix of skills, experiences and perspectives and ideas that you can draw from, which is why EDI should be integrated into all of your business practices. Next slide, please, Samima. And did you know that there are 9 protected characteristics according to the Equality Act 2010? And the Equality Act is a law that protects us all from discrimination and covers the 9 protected characteristics, which are race, age, disability, gender, religion, sex, pregnancy, sexual orientation, and marriage. Next slide, please, Tamima. Why is it important to integrate EDI into your engagement? Put simply, it's your legal and moral obligation. According to the Equality Act, it's important to integrate EDI into your business practices so as not to discriminate from any of those 9 protected characteristics that we just looked at. Our government's schemes are grounded in social value and purpose for all. According to the latest fuel poverty statistics, ethnic minority households live in lower fuel poverty gap than white households, and therefore we need to ensure that all our marketing materials, assets and representation include all of the rich tapestry of our communities in England. And again, our collective ambition is to support all fuel poor households, which means that we should do whatever we can to get the buy-in from those communities that are often underrepresented in our advertising and marketing. Can you move to the next slide, please, Samima? Thank you. Okay, so how can we win over future customers? And that is simply by having inclusive campaigns, being creative with the case studies, using imagery and explainer videos, animation, people like me. So people often resonate with people that look familiar to them. They want to believe in the schemes that we're promoting, that they are also for them. Using social media channels and radio as a priority over print media, which will account for other languages and or lower literacy levels. Using community radio to record ads in multiple languages. There are 300 languages that are used in the UK. So tailor your advertising materials and marketing assets according to the communities that you're serving. And just check in with your colleagues, use those as advocates to ensure that when you're going out to homes, diverse homes, that the people that are interviewing, there's an immediate relationship because that person looks like them. So there's a familiarity. And also to build trust and engage with your local community. It's a nice way to appreciate and value those people in our community that we serve. And ensuring accessibility. So ensuring that your materials are readable, they're using the right colours, use auto subtitles and captions just to help relay your message. And social value, as I've said before, our schemes, our capital schemes are for those in society that need most of our help. And statistics shows that ethnic minority households are more fuel poor than white households. I'm saying include everyone in your marketing campaigns just to ensure that the message is reaching everyone within our society. And The next slide, please, Samima. And this is what good representation looks like. Ensure that we, including all of the different 9 underrepresented, protected characteristics in our advertising and marketing. Be creative, be bold, be ambitious, be innovative, and you'll see that you will get more buy-in and you'll be able to deliver more households with the retrofit upgrades. And just now, a few facts and figures. I won't bore you with the detail because we will be sharing these slides, but just to say, consumers are 2.5 times more likely to be influenced by prominent diversity promotion. Demonstrating and promoting equitable outcomes appeals to future customers. Our built environment is for everyone, and the more diverse and inclusive we become, the more it will serve the needs of our communities. Also, studies show that 57% of consumers are influenced by organisations that authentically represent diversity in their marketing. So to round up, don't be afraid to reach out to your communities and ensure that representation for all is captured and integrated in your marketing materials and business practices. And that's the end of my session.
Thanks all.
Thank
Bye.
you.